Start. MTC. Unit 02, No 01. In the middle of the night, Matt suddenly awakened. Matt. He glanced at his clock. It was 3:23. 3:23. For just an instant he wondered what had wakened him. Then he remembered. He had heard someone come into his room. Matt sat up in bed, rubbed his eyes, and looked around the small room. Matt. Mom. He said quietly, hoping he would hear his mother's voice assuring him that everything was all right. But there was no answer. Matt tried to tell himself that he was just hearing things. Matt. But he knew he wasn't. There was someone in his room. He could hear rhythmic, scratchy breathing and it wasn't his own. He lay awake for the rest of the night. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 02. One day, Cindy happened to sit next to a famous artist in a cafe, and she was thrilled to see him in person. Cindy. He was drawing on a used napkin over coffee. She was looking on in awe. After a few moments, the man finished his coffee and was about to throw away the napkin as he left. Cindy stopped him. Cindy. Can I have that napkin you drew on? She asked. Sure, he replied. $20,000. 2. She said, with her eyes wide open, what? It took you like 2 minutes to draw that. 2. No, he said. It took me over 60 years to draw this. 60. Being at a loss, she stood still rooted to the ground. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 03. On my 7th birthday, my mom surprised me with a puppy waiting on a leash. It had beautiful golden fur and an adorable tail. It was exactly what I had always dreamed of. I took the dog everywhere and slept with it every night. A few months later, the dog got out of the backyard and was lost. I sat on my bed and cried for hours while my mother watched me silently from the doorway of my room. I finally fell asleep, exhausted from my grief. My mother never said a word to me about my loss, but I knew she felt the same as I did. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 04. Salva had to raise money for a project to help Southern Sudan. Salva. It was the first time that Salva spoke in front of an audience. Salva. There were more than 100 people. Salva's knees were shaking as he walked to the microphone. Salva. Hello, he said. His hands trembling, he looked out at the audience. Everyone was looking at him. At that moment, he noticed that every face looked interested in what he had to say. People were smiling and seemed friendly. That made him feel a little better, so he spoke into the microphone again. Hello, he repeated. He smiled, feeling at ease, and went on. I am here to talk to you about a project for Southern Sudan. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 05. Erda lay on her back in a clearing, watching drops of sunlight slide through the mosaic of leaves above her. Erda. She joined them for a little, moving with the gentle breeze, feeling the warm sun feed her. A slight smile was spreading over her face. She slowly turned over and pushed her face into the grass, smelling the green pleasant scent from the fresh wild flowers. Free from her daily burden, she got to her feet and went on. Erda walked between the warm trunks of the trees. Erda. She felt all her concerns had gone away. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 06. I was diving alone in about 40 feet of water when I got a terrible stomachache. 40. I was sinking and hardly able to move. I could see my watch and knew there was only a little more time on the tank before I would be out of air. It was hard for me to remove my weight belt. Suddenly I felt a prodding from behind me under the armpit. My arm was being lifted forcibly. Around into my field of vision came an eye. It seemed to be smiling. It was the eye of a big dolphin. Looking into that eye, I knew I was safe. I felt that the animal was protecting me, lifting me toward the surface. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 07. Norm and his friend Jason went on a winter camping trip. Norm Jason. In the middle of the night, Norm suddenly woke up sensing something was terribly wrong. Norm. To his surprise, the stove was glowing red. Norm shook Jason awake and told him to look at the stove. Norm Jason. Jason said he had filled it with every piece of wood he could fit into it. Jason. Norm thought the cabin was going to catch fire. Norm. He started swearing at Jason. Jason. He pulled Jason out of his bed, opened the front door and threw him out into the snow. Jason. Norm yelled out in anger, "Don't come back in until I get this stove cooled off." Norm. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 08. I board the plane, take off, and climb out into the night sky. Within minutes, the plane shakes hard, and I freeze, feeling like I'm not in control of anything. The left engine starts losing power and the right engine is nearly dead now. Rain hits the windscreen and I'm getting into heavier weather. I'm having trouble keeping up the airspeed. When I reach for the microphone to call the center to declare an emergency, my shaky hand accidentally bumps the carburetor heat levers, and the left engine suddenly regains power. I push the levers to full. Both engines backfire and come to full power. Feeling that the worst is over, I find my whole body loosening up and at ease. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, No 09. The chief called for Little Fawn to come out, and took her right hand and Sam's right hand and tied them together with a small piece of leather. Little Fawn, Sam. He gave a big yell and told Sam, "You're now a married man." Sam. As soon as the wedding ceremony was over, the celebration began. Fawn and Sam sat on blankets as young boys and girls began dancing to flute music and drum beats. Fawn Sam. They danced in circles making joyful sounds and shaking their hands with arms raised over their heads. Fawn rose up and joined them. Fawn. People started clapping and singing. Fawn and Sam were two happy people. Fawn Sam. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, Number 10. It was my first day of school at St. Roma High School. St. Roma. The uniforms were a lot fancier than in middle school. As a St. Roma student, I had to wear a green sweater with the school label on the shoulder, khaki skirt or khaki pants, a white blouse, and a green St. Roma tie. St. Roma, St. Roma. There's my St. Roma student, said Mom. St. Roma. You're ready for your first day? She asked. Yes. I told her. When we got into the car and headed to school, my mind started to imagine how my first day of school would turn out. Maybe I'll have new friends. Maybe I'll be the best in the class. I could not wait to start my first day at a new school. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, Number 11. Clara, an 11-year-old girl, sat in the back seat of her mother's car with the window down. 1 Clara. The wind from outside blew her brown hair across her ivory pale skin. She sighed deeply. She was sad about moving and was not smiling. Her heart felt like it hurt. The fact that she had to leave everything she knew broke her heart. 11 years, that was a long time to be in one place and build memories and make friends. 1 She had been able to finish out the school year with her friends, which was nice, but she feared she would face the whole summer and the coming school year alone. Clara sighed heavily. Clara. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 02, Number 12. Garnet blew out the candles and lay down. Garnet. It was too hot even for a sheet. She lay there, sweating, listening to the empty thunder that brought no rain, and whispered, "I wish the drought would end." Late in the night, Garnet had a feeling that something she had been waiting for was about to happen. Garnet. She lay quite still, listening. The thunder rumbled again, sounding much louder. And then slowly, one by one, as if someone were dropping pennies on the roof, came the raindrops. Garnet held her breath hopefully. Garnet. The sound paused. "Don't stop. Please," she whispered. Then the rain burst strong and loud upon the world. Garnet leaped out of bed and ran to the window. Garnet. She shouted with joy, "It's raining hard." She felt as though the thunderstorm was a present. At. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Unit 03 No analysis. Sometimes, you feel the need to avoid something that will lead to success out of discomfort. Maybe you are avoiding extra work because you are tired. You are actively shutting out success because you want to avoid being uncomfortable. Therefore, overcoming your instinct to avoid uncomfortable things at first is essential. Try doing new things outside of your comfort zone. Change is always uncomfortable, but it is key to doing things differently in order to find that magical formula for success. MTC. Good job.